know her well, so you know she's a wonderful person. And I was looking out at the stuff that she had around the room, these little things from her book. And it says, racy, poignant, and poetic. And I think that's DChristy too. So I am so very honored to introduce my student, my friend, whom I love dearly, Miss DChristy Eves.
First off, I just want to thank everybody so much for coming and for supporting me and for buying copies of the book, for reading the book, and for just all of the letters of support and emails and everything that I've gotten from everybody. This just meant so much to me. And I don't think I can spend enough time on gratitude, although I won't be like my father and actually spend a lot of time at the Christmas dinner and we do the thanking, and I'll try to move it along. But I do want to make sure to thank everybody, because writing this book was just such a journey, and anybody who's had anything on their heart that they need to get off knows the journey it can take to have the bravery to do that. So I want to first start off by thanking Tanae for letting us all descend on her home and fill it up with our presents, and letting us be here, for helping me all day today, cutting fruit and helping me make the food, and just being by my side since we were tiny little girls, and always being here for me. So I want to thank you for all your help today and every day for you. And I want to I especially want to thank Dr. Matthews and Miss Harding and Mr. White. Okay, Valencia, Kim, and Joel.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
We drove all the way up here from Tallahassee to be here today, and that just means so much to me. And that is FAMU, that is family. And I want to thank you so much for coming. And I also want to thank my we on this project, this entire book. I have to thank my we. My we is here from Dallas, Texas. When I first sat down to write this book, and I've been writing for a very, very long time, poetry and short stories, but writing a novel was a huge undertaking, and I was terrified, very terrified, to have somebody actually read my work. And I thought, what if I put everything that I thought and all these things that you never say out loud, what if I put this on paper and it's horrible? You know, and somebody goes to read it and, you probably should have kept that together. So when I first started writing this book a few years ago, when my 2-year-old wasn't even conceived, I was terrified, and I needed somebody to go to and show this to. And I thought to myself, okay, well, who am I going to show this to? I said, well, I'm going to show it to Julie, because I know if she looks at it, she's a friend, a real friend, and she's going to say, this is terrible. I love you, but this is awful, and you need somebody that's going to be real with you. And I knew that she would be real with me, and I sent those first few pages very nervously. I even remember the day emailing her. I sent those first few pages to her, and she said to me something I'll never forget. She said, I consider it an honor to read your work, and not only will I read it, but I will tell you the truth. And she has been with me through every single page, every single edit, every single rewrite, every single doubt. And when I thought I couldn't do it, she said, I just said, I don't want to hear that. No, 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 I won't accept that. No, no. And she stood behind me, kicked me in the pants when I needed to. And I absolutely could not have finished this project if it had not been for your help. And I have to thank you. And that's why this book is dedicated to my friend Julie, so I want to make sure that everybody knew that she's here today. She's wonderful. And without further ado, a reading from my book. What's up, B? Derek. I stared at the receiver. I looked over at the clock. 6:15 p.m. What's up with you tonight? I have rehearsal tonight until how late? 10. You coming home afterwards? That's the plan. Let me come through and see you. I sank down on the couch and put my bag down. I was on my way out of the door. It's a call I could have easily missed. "Where have you been?" I heard myself say and sound like one of those girls. "Around." He was dry. There was a brief silence. "You know where to find me. You just haven't been looking," he continued. "Right, yeah, that's been the problem. Billy, we haven't talked in a while, and I thought I'd call my girl and see what was up with you. If you don't want to see me, that's cool." I paused. "I do. I'll be by after 10 then." "All right." I hung up and headed out to rehearsal. It was a tech rehearsal, and I was anxious to see my costumes, but the thought of being snatched back into my old world with Derek was putting a damper on the evening. I didn't know if I was relieved to finally hear from him or angry. 2 months. He pulled the classic guy move of turning the situation around on me. He knew I couldn't call him. He knew it was his job to call me. But I couldn't let it go. I wanted to see him badly. I went to the theater and down into the green room in the basement and to look over our costumes, and the crew was there helping us find our racks. My character's first look was a thin, silky white nightie. I immediately looked at the crew member and said, "I'll be half naked in this." Oh, no, you won't be able to see through it. At least I don't think you will. We'll see tonight under the lights how naked you are." She went on, tucking with clothes on the racks and sewing a hem on another dress. My first monologue opened the show and was down center in the naked nightgown. I walked out barefoot on stage and waited while the voices in the dark decided whether I was too naked or just naked enough. "Can she have on something underneath that?" It was Proctor's voice. I could put a little black slip underneath. That should do it," the costume designer's voice. I could hear him making a note in his book. I wondered if it said, "too naked." "Okay, Billy, next," Proctor yelled. I left the stage and changed into my next outfit, which, thank God, included clothes. By the time the night was over, we'd run a little long, and it was 10:30 when we were done. I didn't want to rush, but I couldn't help myself but drive a little fast on the way home. Not long after I got home, the doorbell rang. "Hey, girl," Derek said. "Give me a hug," Derek motioned for me. I gave him a hug. He still smelled like powder and fresh cotton. Working and rehearsing. "That's cool. I can really see you in the theater. I think that's a nice move for you." He relaxed on my bed. I cut on the stereo and I played him all blues. "So, who told you about my play? It's a small campus and I'm up on you." "Up on me, huh?" I couldn't help but a smile that leaked out of the corner of my mouth. "What's new with you?" "Well, it looks like I'll be leaving soon." "Leaving? Leaving where? Leaving school?" "Yeah, I've got some family things up back home and I'm going to have to go home after this semester. I may be back later, but I'm going home in December." He dropped the bomb on me like he was telling me he'd be choosing the black socks over the brown. I was dumbstruck for a moment. "Wow, leaving?" "Leaving love," he said, and I decided to ignore his calling me love. I wish I knew what to say. I hate to see you go. Campus without Derek. I kept trying to imagine it. I couldn't. "Are you going to miss me?" I was so happy to see that smile, that slight gentleman's southern accent draped on his words like the hanging gray moss. Like crazy. He kissed me. He's the devil, I thought. My evil. He picked at every weak point I had, and still charmingly enough that I couldn't resist. He always gave me just enough. Just enough of his face that I wasn't sick of seeing it. Just enough to make me jealous, but not too much that he couldn't explain it away. He was just the right amount of pain so that it still felt good. The night was slow and it was starting to rain. Maybe God watches us and knows when it should rain. It rained all night and it thundered and tapped on the window. He kissed me soft. What on earth was this feeling I had for him? You can't love someone you don't have, can you? It was not the having, it was the wanting. It was the absence that made his presence glow. I realized something lying there in Derek's arms. He was worse than Vaughn. He was worse because he was after my heart. Derek wanted the last piece in the set. He waited very patiently. He waited for Vaughn to release my bruised and broken pieces, and he was right there to collect them. They were more than hunters, they were collectors. Derek had bided his time sneaking the discarded pieces. He picked them up as I was staring elsewhere to the moon. He collected myself. He had them all now, but one. The most dangerous piece of all. Most men would stop at herself. Actually, most men would stop at her vagina. Leave that sharp edge, sparkling red glass in his case behind the ribs, but he was not most men. He wanted to break in past the guards, under the red beams of light shining from my eyes, slip inside my rib cage and retrieve my heart from its pillar. He wanted to put it in his trophy case, next to whoever else's carefully guarded heart he'd stolen. Just then I knew there was no way I could be a man. Love was woman's burden. Adam's son spent generation after generation trying to retrieve that rib given without his consent. The price for having his rib, he'd take it back and have my heart too. I knew my quest to be like a man, to make love like a man, was futile. There was nothing for me to take from him except my own pleasure. It was the emptiness that ached. He was still holding me when I figured this all out too late. The holding, the holding, the holding. The holding me all night. The steady heat and the scent of his body had slowly, ever so slowly, melted the ice protecting my heart. My heart was in his hands. I was trapped. So trapped, I didn't even own the piece of myself that had the will to resist. All gone. He'd be inside me long after his absence had grown vast like the ocean. I kissed his fingers laced over my chest, and I released my eyelids to close. That night, I dreamt of the ocean. Black, high tide, full moon, vast.
Bravo.
Let me get 5 more books.